hope that a viewer will experience delight. I find I get a lot of pleasure from making the work. I like when the work becomes playful. So the first reaction would be one of kind of just playfulness and delight, and then in further looking into the piece, they'll see more complexity in a subtle shift in the geometric forms that imply direction and imply a gesture, imply some kind of transition. So, I think all work is autobiographical, and we're always in flux in a certain way, and I've had very significant moments of change within my personal life, and the work has reflected that. On surface, you could say it's about time and about a transition from one moment to the next, and being really present, taking ancient and universal ideas of what it means to be present, what the here and now is all about. In Judaism, which is the tradition I'm most familiar with, there's a term called, a Hebrew word, hineni, which means I am here. And whenever it appears in biblical stories, it implies that the speaker is implying, I am here and ready to take on whatever is presented to me. And I want my work to reflect that kind of openness and presence. It's having the opportunity to experience something that's universal, that I individually am experiencing, and I'm hoping that my work presents that opportunity to a viewer. So, like geometric symbols are universal. They're building blocks of the world, and to take these geometric forms and have a slight shift in what's expected. So I have several pieces that have a rectangle or a square where one end is tipped up, which is kind of a surprise and kind of grasping space and implying a movement from one point to the next point. So it's a bit of a radical way of looking at geometry. Maybe that's too aggrandized, but I see it that way. So that when I make work, it taps into that. So that sounds all heavy, but I do like it to be playful. Again, to be just there's a spark of happiness or joy or delight, and then just to maybe see how sculptures or art can represent possibilities. It's a kind of a visual metaphor for how for being optimistic. You're walking into a gallery and you see this piece, let's say, and it's against a back wall. So it's a modified rectangle, but because of forced perspective, where the steel lines taper as it goes further away from the widest line, gives you a sense of distance. You have this arc, so the two lines aren't mirroring each other, but also just adding a little bit of curiosity, hopefully, beauty. That I think art should please the eye, should be something that you want to look at. But in terms of time, horizon lines are really interesting. You're when you are standing at a point, you're obviously in your present moment. then you look at the horizon line and it's showing you something off into the future. You know, if you're going down that road, that means that you will reach another point along the road at some point in the future. So as a metaphor for being in the present moment, being at a point along that road, I think is an accurate. This is kind of an accurate visual metaphor for that idea. It's a gift that I have, that I'm able to do this, to think this way, that to experience the world through materials, and it is, I think, one of the most rewarding parts of being human. To be able to find meaning through playing with shapes.